okay, I'm trying to think of another parallel in another religion. You're Catholic, okay?
Yeah.
So you're hardcore Catholic. It works for you. You're keeping to yourself. You're not spreading the word around. And then you have all the priests molest kids.
Oh, yeah.
You're allowed to be mad at them. You can be mad and pissed off at those priests.
Oh, yeah. Well, they make you look bad.
It's a terrible parallel because I don't think Tom Cruise is molesting
Yeah,
anybody,
but I get the point, though.
It's making your religion look bad. You can be mad at the person that's doing that.
All of a sudden you find yourself being in a defensive position on everything. You have to kind of defend your thing, because the minute you would ever say Catholic, hey, what do you think about those priests? The first question will be like, oh, instead it's, what do you think of those priests or those kids? Yeah, and especially I was an altar boy once, too, and so I was like, you're an altar boy. I'm trying to remember if I have any suppressed memories, about the time. We used to have to dress those priests, Oh, and I'm thinking back. I've thought back like a lot of times, like, gee, I wonder if Father so-and-so
ever watched.
Remember what? Do you suppose I'm blind? I thought about seeing a hypnotist, and I was like, no.
No, why?
Why go there?
Nothing
why
good
go there?
No. What's going to come of it?
Yeah.
Unless you want to join a class action lawsuit, maybe.
Yeah. I don't remember anything funny happening, but I do remember we used to have to dress the priest. That's what altar boys. Before you go out there. Oh, yeah. You have to help them with their robes and putting on their robes and all their there's names for everything that they put on. You know what I mean?
I was kind of a quasi-altar because I went to a Catholic school.
Yeah.
So we'd have church every week.
I didn't know you went to Catholic school.
All my whole life.
Really?
Until Michigan. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Private Catholic schools.
Son of a bitch.
So, we'd go to Mass every week, and you'd have to fill in and step up, they needed altar boys, but it wasn't, it was basically just doing the thing during the Mass. I actually did it because it'd get me out of class early.
Yeah. Well, I dug being an altar boy. I really liked it.
Dressed a priest.
Oh, yeah. Well, Shrine of the Little Flower, this wasn't right. The shrine... There was so much pomp and all that with that church. The Shrine of the Little Flower was, I think, one of the richest parishes that there were. Yeah. The gold in that church was unbelievable. That was, boy, in the 60s, oh, my God. And we lived right around the corner from Shrine. But it was cool. If you were an altar boy, that was a pretty cool thing. It was like being on safety patrol. It was like, I used to love getting that bright orange belt. Yeah. I put my hands out like, do not go past my outstretched arms or you will die.
I would love to see a photo of little Mike Clark.
Oh, God. Wouldn't that have been great? Why didn't my parents take pictures of me in my safety patrol thing?
They have. Hey, wait.
I should have a picture of me doing my paper route with the Royal Tribune, a picture of me in my safety patrol, a picture of me in my Cub Scout outfit.
We can put them all on the site.
Boy.
We'll put them all on the web. And then people will say, oh, it looks like Oliver from the Brady Bunch.
These things are gone forever, Mark. There could have been a picture of me as my altar boy. There's no picture of me as an altar boy.
Well, it's because
those are gone. It's gone forever.
The priest suppressed them all since you were dressing him.
Man, oh, man. Then there's those moments, too. Oh, God, to be an altar boy, you had to... Oh, there was so much went into that. You had to get that right. There were so many steps to executing a mass. And every once in a while, you'd have a kid screw it up, and it would be maybe a point where it's your cue to go.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say, like, one of the most infamous screw-ups was at one point the priest said something. There was some key, word that you would key off of, and that meant you were to walk over and sit down because the sermon was going to fire up, know. And this one kid, and I understand it because I screwed up with the bells once. You talk about a boner. As Regis would say, I pulled the boulder. And rang the bells at the wrong time. Oh, Jesus. But anyway, this kid thought it was time to go get the wine. And so get the wine and all this because there was that point when you'd have the host and the wine and you had to get up there and prepare all that stuff and get all the little bottles and all this stuff.
You had to make dinner.
Yeah, make dinner for the priest, basically. Get the food and the drink together. That wine was pretty good, by the way. We did get into that once. But anyway, this kid went up there at the wrong point in time to start the whole wine and the host and get all that stuff going when it was the sermon.
Fool.
Oh, it was the biggest scene. Huge, Matt. Place was jam-packed, as all those shrine masses were back then. Jam-packed, people hanging off the rafters. And here's this guy standing up at the altar all by himself, just screwing around with the wine. And everybody looking at him like, no. And then the kid finally sheepishly went and sat down. Huge deal. People talked about it for months. Yeah, he got in trouble. He got in big trouble for that. It was a huge embarrassment. Never lived it down.
I remember thinking when I was little and I did it, the part where the priest, if anybody's ever been to a Catholic Mass and they pour the water He's supposed to wash his hands.
Oh, God,
totally symbolic.
Oh, definitely.
I remember thinking as I look at him like, what? I don't really clean his hand. It's a little unsanitary.
Yeah, that's not going to work. That's good enough. Well, you know, when you think about it, I mean, after a while, they started, I mean, the host would go from person after person. You know, I mean, the priest is reaching in, right? Taking a whole pile of them. Well, whatever's on his hands is on his hands. Yeah, when you think about it, you know, I mean, he's touching all that stuff. And then they had the chalice full of wine, and people were drinking out of that same chalice. You know, think about that.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus, you know.
When's the last time you stepped in a church?
Oh. Whoa. Let me think.
Has it been that long?
Oh, my God, yes. Jesus. I'll bet you. Wow.
I mean, aside from like a wedding or a funeral.
Which I used to serve those, too. I was so into it. I would serve funerals and weddings, yeah. But we got paid for that.
Background is so bizarre.
I know. I have the weirdest life. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I think about it. I was like, why did I end up doing that? But it was the thing to do. But you got paid if you did that, which was really cool. It was like, hey, I'm making money being an altar boy.
Were you one of those kids that was going to be a priest?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I never went that far.
You seem like you're really into it.
There were a lot of them, yeah. I think it kind of puts you on. You know what I think more than anything?
I can't picture it. I just can't picture
I can't either. Joe, you can't picture it. Joe cannot picture me as an altar boy. You were an altar boy? Oh, yeah, you being a big Italian. Oh, Christ, yeah, you'd have to be. You'd be a disappointment to the family if you weren't an altar boy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, God, what was I going to say?
Because you had a born-again period, right?
Yeah, but the altar boy thing, the whole
which is so bizarre.
I know, and then I had that period. Boy, that was another weird deal. That's once I got married, Trish, and I fell into that for a couple of years.
fell into it? What, did someone trick you into?
Well, it was, you know. What
is this story?
Well, I say that because when we got into the whole born-again thing, I'm trying to think how that even happened. I know. I used to play guitar with this guy. I used to play rock guitar with this guy, and he found Jesus. Yes, this is how you have to understand the times.
What, like
70s,
70, okay.
Yeah. And he found Jesus, and I was out in California. I came back from California and hooked up with my buddy, and I was expecting to pick up where we left off. You know, getting wired and playing guitars. You know, and goof around with the guitar. Not that we were any good, by the way. We sucked. But anyway. And he all of a sudden threw me because he'd found Jesus. And all of a sudden I expected to rock out with my buddy Mark. His name was Mark too. And all of a sudden he was telling me about Jesus. He wanted to go to the coffee shop and talk.
What?
It's like, coffee shop? What? So I thought, I don't know, whatever.
You still went along.
Yeah, I went along because I didn't think it, I thought, no, whatever, weird, but fine. And then all of a sudden we're talking and telling about California, all this stuff. And then all of a sudden he starts telling me about Jesus. And he kept talking about it and the whole thing, and he started.
How long were you born again?
And after a while, it made sense.
Really?
Well, yeah, it made sense, and I started thinking, well, and all that, and so I'm trying to think. Then Trish and I were dating, and I'm trying to think if we did this before we got married or right after.
Bible says two men ought not lay together.
Anyway, so we ended up going to this born again church in Royal Oak. I say born again. It's
you just got
Christian.
Back into
it subscribes to the whole business of being born again, which is you accept Jesus as your Savior. Basically, you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. He died on the cross for your sins. You accept that.
Yeah.
And then you lean on that for eternal life, But then you're expected to change your life, however. That's the part you tend to forget. You accept Jesus, but then afterwards, it's like, okay, now going along with this, you kind of want to live the life. And then that's where, things get tough. And that's where you have to realize, it gets into all that. But anyway, what happened to us was, though, we ended up going to this small church. And it started getting a little weird. I mean, all of a sudden the priest wanted this foot washing. And it was like, foot washing? Yeah, I'm not washing anybody's feet.
I'd be out immediately.
Lord or not, I am not washing that dude's feet.
Praise all be to God.
That turned my stomach. It turned my stomach.
When the foot bath came out, was when. So how long?
Oh,
how long were you born again?
2 years, I'll bet.
Wow.
I mean, we really got into it. When we were really into it, oh, man. It was,
Were you going to all the fish fries and
No, nothing like
and-
that. No,
okay.
In fact, Mark, we were probably pretty shameful, really. I mean, we didn't go. They wanted us. We were always the people that just didn't show up for the Bible study and didn't show up. I mean, we went to church, which was a gymnasium, and that's where you're like, doesn't matter. You can go to church by just being at home. Even you learn all these little concepts, the Christian way. You don't have to go to that's where you have to shirk all the whole Catholic thing. You have to kind of. The fact you go to a formal church and all this, a church can be anywhere, and it was gymnasium. And
I want my God and I want my family.
But to cut to the chase, we weren't, we didn't attend all, fish fries. No. There's no fish fries.
Was it really the foot washing that?
The fish fry did absolutely turn my stomach, and it was just like, no, I'm not doing that. That made us sort of, and that's the other thing. It's like, wait a minute, there's supposed to be all this love, but people weren't too happy that we weren't going along with that. And all of a sudden it was like brother. And everybody was brother and sister. Brother Mike, look, hey, this is...
Sounds like Jonestown.
And they used to wash the hands of Jesus, or the feet of Jesus, and, we're reenacting that, and, the significance of it, and why we do this, and all this stuff. And it's like, well, that's all well and good, but I'm not washing your damn feet under any circumstance. So, but what really finally did it for us, Mark, I got to know pretty well the minister, who was kind of heading up the thing. And, of course, you had to tithe 10%, which went along with that because it's in the Bible.
Wow.
That's
every
of gross,
week,
but that's of gross,
week.
by the way.
Yeah.
10% of gross.
And every week you made it?
Oh, yeah, even though I was making $120 a week.
Whoa! Woo!
Yeah, big deal.
Well, so
but hey,
$10, that's not that bad.
Yeah. So, but what really killed it was, get this, after being totally swept up in this thing, getting hooked up into this whole ministry, this Christian movement, all this, and being just going along with the whole thing. All of a sudden, we were listening to, I know what it was. We were listening to a radio broadcast. There was a guy, God, let's calm down. It was a guy named Pastor Bogle was his name. This guy was sort of a heavyset guy. It sort of looked like Rush Limbaugh, actually. Yeah, very much looked like him. And he had this television show, Mm-hmm. He also had a radio show. He had this ministry was booming here locally. Well, anyway, all of a sudden there was this guy on the phone who was confessing to the idea that he was screwing he came on upset because he found out that the minister was screwing his wife.
What?
Yes. And this guy was a trustee of the church. So he had worked himself up into kind of he was on the board, basically.
I guess I'm just surprised that that's what got you to leave.
Yeah, it really pissed us off because all of a sudden we were listening to this guy and he's talking about this minister, this priest, this guy I knew.
You, yeah.
I mean, I went a few places together, all this stuff. It was like I only saw him at church. All of a sudden I started kind of seeing him here and there. He'd come over to the house. There were some weird things, too, I got to tell you.
Yeah,
he would ask me things
like
about Trish, brother. How's your...
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So he's just a pussy.
Well, as it went along, it started getting a little weird. All of a sudden, one day I was out driving around with him. He goes, brother, how's your sexual life?
Really?
I thought,
God.
F you.
Thank God I didn't ask you to move to Guyana.
Yeah, really? And it's like, what a creep. What are you asking? I'm not talking to you about my sexual life. Get out of here.
Well, the worst thing to come out of your born-again time was, didn't you throw away a bunch of pictures of your girlfriend?
Well, yeah, so anyway, but come to find out, just to wrap up that other, and then we'll move out of this. But
he's banging.
But God dang, come to find out, this minister that was Mr. Religion, Mr. I'm saved and you're not guy, turns out he was screwing this guy's wife. And it turns out he'd been making passes at these other chicks. And when this thing finally blew up, because all kinds of people that went to that church I was going to heard this unfold on the radio, we recognized the guy's voice. And it was like, oh, that's blah, blah, blah. That's our trustee. That's our minister that's screwing his wife. And all of a sudden, everybody was like, woof. I mean, the whole church collapsed in this. Yeah. It was a disaster.
Whatever happened?
It was a scandal that there was no coming back from. And then once this thing blew up and detonated and everybody was just at wit's end over what had happened and the church was disintegrating, then the minister comes out with a tearful confession that not only was he a womanizer and not only did he in fact engage in having this horrible affair, but on top of that, he was hooked on whores. He was hooked on, and he started confessing how he would go down to 8 Mile Road all the time and pick up all these whores.
I'm a high priest, Vatican assassin warlock. I'm Hitler, you know what I'm saying? Come on, man.
Yeah, and he'd sit there, oh, brothers and sisters, I get down there and I see a prostitute, and the Lord would say, hit the accelerator, floor, hit the accelerator. And I couldn't. The devil got a hold of me. And the devil got a hold of you. Your wiener got a hold of you. That's what got a hold of you. And then that was the end of it. So it was very upsetting.
A lot of those churches, those culty type churches,
wow.
And they kind of collapse. Or they were big in the late 70s too.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Once Jonestown happened, they all kind of fell on each other.
Yeah, that time period, man. I got to tell you, the 60s into the 70s, it was a whole different time, It was just, everything was different. And then what happened is once we fell away from the born again thing, yeah, then, not when I was in the midst of it. Oh, I had those hot pictures of my girlfriend from high school. Oh my God, we've taken the hottest Polaroids in the whole world. And like a fool, I threw them all out.
Did Trish ever know about these photos?
No.
Okay.
Still doesn't. And oh my God, these Polaroids were so smoking hot. Back in the days when you had the big clumsy Polaroid cameras. Oh, she loved to take pictures.
What's it like to stare into the eye of Satan's butthole?
This girl was wild, and what a knockout. Oh my God, she was.
What are you doing here? Just come back from working out?
No, came from church, you retard.
Okay, that's wonderful language that my wife uses.
It's you and Trish.
How I have seen myself walk up to that dumpster and just go, I'm done with this. This is part of my life that's gone. Threw all that away.
Nah.
If only I had that back.
At some point, you would have had to get rid of them.
I just look at them so much so I can close my eyes and pretty much see them all.
Well,
it's burned into my brain.
Just got to find some other skank to reenact.
Yeah. No, those days are gone.
What?
No. So what a time period. All this from I don't know how we got on all this, but we did. But it winds back to the experience in the Catholic religion as an altar boy. But I don't know. It's too bad I don't have pictures of that. That would be nice. Oh, well. He said it turn out like Wiener. I'd love to see a picture of me and my altar boy. Could you? Yeah. And I can't believe you were an altar boy.
Not a real one.
I didn't even know.
Never on Sunday.
I didn't know you were even Catholic, or that you were for a while. I went to a private Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
I think a lot of us did. Jim did. Joe did.
Joe, I can picture Jim. You were Catholic also?
Did. Still is.
Really? Yeah. No kidding. Boy, what a revelation this morning, huh? Jeez. Were you an altar boy too?
Oh yeah.
Are you serious?
St. Lawrence. Same thing. I didn't want to have to go to class. We got paid for it.
So I'm in a room full of altar boys here.
Mikey wasn't.
Mr. Walters, were you an altar boy? Mike's looking. Are you serious? Please. So that's 1, 2, that's 4 of us. I can't believe a room full of altar boys. I don't think Drew is an altar boy either. I'll tell you, we were talking about altar boys earlier when I found out that not only was I an altar boy, but so was Mr. Fellhauer, Mr. Bentley, and Joey. And I was talking about dressing priests, by the way, and Brad writes, I was an altar boy for 6 years and never dressed a priest. Did you put on his underwear? Thank you. I did not put on his underwear.
I thought that was weird.
When I said dress a priest, I think the problem is it was the terminology. That's what they used to call it, dressing the priest.
But I never even put on his garments either.
You didn't?
No.
Well, see, maybe things were weird at Shrine of the Little Flower back in the 60s.
I have no clue what this is about, but it sounds
Well, it turns out this show
pretty weird.
It turns out that most of the guys on this show, most of the guys on this show, come to find out, are former altar boys.
Yeah, I heard that. I mean, but dressing a priest like he's a king?
Well, you know, the priest, he was pretty big stuff. We used to really have to kiss the butt of the priest as an altar boy.
Oh, yeah, that's what I heard.
Well, back then, see, that's why I say, do I dare go through hypnosis and find out that God knows what happened back in the
let
rectory?
sleeping dogs lie.
It isn't rectory a little too close to rectum, by the way? But what's a rectory?
I just thought that too, but I didn't want to say out loud.
Okay. Well, yeah, you got on me for that. But the thing of it is...
But you could go to confession. I'm just...
Well, yeah, and I sure did. Yeah, and that's the other thing, confession, and the people that used to be in there forever. And, of course, everyone, you're not supposed to gossip as a good Catholic back in the 60s, but boy, oh boy, would people gossip about Mrs. So-and-so, because everybody would take note when they went into the confessional. And I'm not kidding you. Some people would be in the confessional for like 30 minutes. And when they came out, everyone would look at them like, "Oh my God!"
So you really knew. You learned how to state your case, no matter how diabolical you've been, in as few words as possible.
Yeah.
Or do you have to do that right there on the spot, Hail Marys and stuff? Don't they send you off to do your assignment?
No, right on the spot. Yeah, you come out of the confessional. And kneel right down, kneel at the pew right there.
Protestants don't bother with any of that.
Yeah, well, Protestants, I mean, that's the thing.
There's very little ritual.
As Catholics, we used to look down on the Protestants, the Lutherans, and all this. We'd always, like, you guys...
And we laughed at you when you were going to church on Saturday, although we were jealous that you didn't have to dress up.
Yeah, you guys were the relaxed Catholics. We always saw the Lutherans and such as sort of a really relaxed, really casual Catholic.
Well, not really casual, because we always had to, like, dress to the T, or at least that's what I was told.
Well, back then, isn't it funny, too, to know that back then masses were in Latin, and people dressed up for church. Women had to wear hats, by the way.
Really?
Had to.
What a bummer.
Had to. Boy, what a different world it used to be. Not so long ago, you know. My God, mid-'60s, early 60s. Isn't that weird? But boy, I'm telling you, the rumors that would get going about Mrs. So-and-so that was in the confessional for 30 minutes was unbelievable. But before Mass, seriously, the priest, he had all these robes, and there was all the, I'll never remember all the components that went into it. Because for a priest to get ready for a Mass, all this stuff, there's all these different things that they wear, and you would hold these things and you'd present them to the priest. He'd take them, he'd put the thing around his neck, and you would hand him, and that was called dressing the priest. But basically, you weren't dressing him like I wasn't. I wasn't buttoning his shirt or anything.
Zipping up his pants.
Maybe that's the problem. Brad
pulling up his underwear for him.
I wasn't.
And then after,
I think Brad thinks I was zipping him down. Brad, you think I was zipping him up, don't you? No, we would just hand him his vestments. That was the word.
Just as bad.
Yeah. And then Bradley writes, oh no, that was Bradley that said that. Wait, who's the other one? Mike says, "Hey Mike, remember ringing the bell and the clanger and would swirl instead of ring? Didn't you feel like a tool? I can't even ring that stupid bell." Yeah, there was a technique. The right minor, there were altar boys, you had two majors, two minors, right and left. And the right minor, I still remember this, was the one that got to ring the bells. So when the priest would hold up the host, and say whatever he would say, the Lord is da-da-da, you would sit there with the bells, and you pick up the bells, they were really heavy. Really heavy. You pick them up. And then there's a way that you were taught to ring the bells. I mean,
and if you didn't ring them right,
pick them up and ring. Oh,
the nuns. You're in a pile of nuns.
Oh, you would
swinging rulers.
I'm telling you, if you didn't ring the bells properly during a Mass, big trouble there. But by the time you ever saw a Mass, I mean, by the time you actually got to be the guy to do it for real in front of a packed crowd, as Shrine was back in those days, I mean, people would
really.
Oh my God, people would walk for couple miles. The traffic was unbelievable. I mean, Shrine was, you cannot believe Shrine Little Flower.
It was one strict church.
Oh, very strict, man. That's, who used to preach at, who used to be a priest at Shrine Little Flower, don't you? Father Coughlin. You remember Father Coughlin? That fiery Father Coughlin?
No.
He was,
that's for another day. I'll tell you about Father Coughlin.
He was the white supremacist?
Oh, he
had a radio show?
One wild
white supremacist
dude.
Catholic radio guy?
Who's that dude?
I think in his early years, he was a very fiery guy. And
okay, just fiery.
This dude, there was, excuse me, there was a really bizarre background. I have to look up a lot of things on him one day, but boy, this guy. And during church, if anybody fell asleep during the sermon, he'd call you out. He'd be way up there, for his sermon.
Guy.
He would speak from the rafters. There's like this big area that they would do their sermons from.
Jerk.
And he was a prick. And he would rant and rave fiery sermons that would go on forever. And if you fell asleep, he would call you out. He'd say, "The man down there, blah, 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 the man's sleeping." He would order the dude to stand up and just dress him down in front of the whole church. It was incredible.
You're the worst father I ever met. Goodbye.
But anyway, you had to ring the bell a certain way anyway. And there was a way you did it with your wrist. It was just right. So I know exactly what Mike's talking about.
And about the incense. Did you guys have that big old incense? It was like a canister at the end of a chain, and you could like fling it at people.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd sit there and rock that incense.
So did you ever try to hit people as you were headed down the aisle or anything?
Tried not to. That thing was heavy as hell too.
Stunk.
I guess there's no room for bad behavior then, huh?
Yeah, if you were Oh, that stuff. I used to hate the smell of that incense, too. Oh, God, that was an awful smell.
Friggin' I smelled the smoke. My mother smelled it.
Oh. And by the way, just one thing before we get going.